Hi, everyone. My name's Kim. I'm the low iodine dietitian, and I am so excited that you have purchased the Simplified Low Iodine Toolkit that I've created for you. I think that this is going to be such a great benefit to you as you go on your thyroid cancer journey, going through low iodine diet and your radioactive iodine treatment. So I wanted to walk through with you some of what is in the toolkit. So I have here the home page, and then, oh, it's scrolling really fast. So then there's a welcome page, and then the table of contents. And what I wanted to show you is that because this is an e-product, many things are clickable in here. So the table of contents, it's all clickable. It will take you to that page that you just clicked on. So I said I wanted the week 2 menu plan. Here's the week 2 menu plan. When you get into the menu plans, the recipes themselves, names of the recipes are clickable, unless it went too fast. The leftovers are not clickable because you shouldn't be having to click on it because you already made it. And if it's just fruits, like here it has blueberries or kiwi and grapes. Let's see if there's any other on this page. Those don't have a recipe. You just give yourself some fruit with your meal. So I don't have recipes for the fruits. So wanted to show you that. Sorry to make you dizzy, but so everything in the table of contents is clickable. The recipe index, all of these are clickable as well to take you to the recipes. So here's a list of all the recipes for each week, as well as here's some bonus recipes. So the next page I'll show you is I do have, this is the snack recipes index as well. This page appears twice, but it's always clickable. Here's how you can use this toolkit. So the menu is based on an 1,800 to 2,000 calorie diet. I don't know how many calories you specifically need. That's a fairly general recommendation for a lot of adults will fit in that category. You should always eat based on your hunger and fullness levels, how you feel like you're doing. If you want to check, there's a link here to something in Mayo Clinic that can give you a rough estimate as well of how many calories you need. But even with that, you should go based on your hunger and fullness. You need to listen to your body and know when you're hungry, when you're not. And that can be a little difficult with some of the side effects of being hypothyroid and with the diet and everything else. But it's really important to try to do that as well. So the menu itself, it assumes that there will be 4 servings at breakfast, 2 servings at lunch, and 4 servings at dinner, or 4 people. So I kind of assume, since most of the lunches are leftovers, that it's like 2 adults and 2 kids in the family is kind of a generic one. So the 2 adults could have the leftovers to take to work or eat at home, whatever works for you. If your family is eating with you and they want to add cheese or dairy to any of these recipes, they totally can. Just add it after you've removed your portion, have them only add it to their portion. So there's that. Okay, most of your lunches are all leftovers. There's only one that isn't, the very first lunch, because there's no leftovers to be had. And so the leftovers will be italicized in the menus. So if we go to the week 1 menu, so Caesar salad wrap isn't italicized because you need to make that, but we had honey garlic chicken, and for dinner, well, that one didn't all get italicized, but the leftovers should all be italicized. It's like, here's the spicy sweet potato, turkey and kale bowls, spicy sweet potato, turkey and kale bowls, and pineapple are all italicized. Something else I want to show you is, so the recipes should be scaled to provide you the number of servings you need for every time that you have it. But you may need to eat more than what is considered 1 serving of the recipe. So let me give you an example to show you. So here for day 1 lunch of week 1, you have a Caesar salad wrap and it says 2 servings. So if you click on it, it will say you need to make 4 servings. That's because I'm assuming 2 people are eating lunch and they each need 2 servings. So that's 4 servings total. And then most often it should always say in the notes, what one serving is equal to. So for this one, it's really simple. One serving is equal to one wrap. So each person gets 2 wraps, and that's to meet the calorie needs. So the days where there's extra servings of something, if you're feeling like it's too much food, that would be an easy way to cut down on some of the calories. Cutting out some of the fruit, if there's a fruit added, would be another way. Sometimes there's 2 things. You could cut the serving size in half, even if it isn't 2 servings, or you could cut out one of the items if you wanted to. So I lost it. Here we go. So like there's the black beans and sweet potato stew and the house salad. If you're feeling like it's a lot of food, you could cut out the salad if you wanted, or you could have half of a serving of each of those things. But so that's where it will say. And so notice where it says, like, if this number of servings is, if it's not just one, is by the food item, except there's occasional where both things need 2 servings. So like the sweet potato bowls, you eat 2 servings at dinner, but the pineapple, you just eat like one regular, about a cup of pineapple. But then the next day at lunch, you would need to eat 2 servings of both of those things, from what it says on the recipe. So like I said, so that's, you need 4 people at lunch or at dinner for the turkey bowls, and 2 people at the next day's lunch. I'm struggling here. And so that's 6 total serving people eating, but they each need 2 servings. So that's why there's 12 servings of this recipe. I hope this is kind of making sense. I want it to make sense. I wanted it to be as user-friendly as I possibly could. You know, when it has fruits or vegetables, if those specific things aren't something that you like in the salad or a vegetable you add to a skillet, you can always sub those out, sub out the fruits, sub out the vegetables. You can sub out the dairy alternatives. So like if it says almond milk, you could do oat milk. If it says almond butter, you could do peanut butter, cashew butter, walnut butter, whatever you choose. If it says toast or bread, you could do English muffins, you could do tortillas, you could do whatever you want. So just know that there's some flexibility. The oils as well are somewhat flexible. The recipes will specify an oil, but if you want to sub a different vegetable oil, you can do that as well. So I'm making sure I got everything. All of these recipes should require 30 minutes or less of active time from you. There are a couple of slow cooker recipes. So like the time will look like it's really long because it includes the entire time of it cooking in the slow cooker, but it shouldn't take more than about 30 minutes of your time to prepare it. Throw some stuff in the slow cooker in the morning and make some dinner in the afternoon, and whatever was in the slow cooker can be added to it. All salt, it may just say salt. It's obviously non-iodized salt, so you can get plain salt or kosher salt. All nut butters are unsalted, even if it's not designated as such. All broths, I recommend doing a sodium-free broth or an unsalted broth. And then if there's often like almond milk or oat milk, some breads, tortillas. There's a couple recipes with granola. If you do not feel comfortable buying those commercially, then I have all bonus, I call them the bonus recipes. I have recipes for those things that you could make from scratch at home, should you so desire. So when I did the low iodine diet many years ago now, Low Iodine Life, the website did not exist. And so I just went with what Thika said, Thika.org, and they said, don't eat any commercial products. So I didn't eat very many commercial products. Thika has done a lot of work. And so there are a lot of things that they have contacted the manufacturers and know that the manufacturer says they don't use iodized salt. And I think for the most part, you can take those manufacturers' word on for that. Sometimes it makes me a little nervous because they're like, well, if we used iodized salt, we would mark it on the label. It's like nobody marks that on the label. And as we all know, there have been supply chain issues during the last couple of years with the pandemic. And so, not that I know that there's been a supply chain issue with salt, but there's supply chain issues that work for really strange things for food manufacturers and restaurants. So I have tried to reach out to all of the brands that I list here on the brands page. Well, before we get to that, so next up in your toolkit is your meal plan overview. So these recipes are not linked because it was so small, but it just gives you a really quick overview of what the whole 3 weeks will look like. Now, I have included a blank one. If you would just like to create your own meal plan with these recipes, you are welcome to do so. If you want to sub in some things of your own, if you want to take some things out because you know you'll be going out to eat or what have you, that's totally fine. That's what this blank page is for you to customize it should you so desire. So here are some brand suggestions that I have. I have personally reached out to these brands and heard back from them on whether they say they use non-iodized salt or not in their products. And so I tried to, within the recipes, often to like put a brand recommendation, but for some things like bread, I couldn't fit it all in the notes for the recipe. So you kind of have to come back here for some of those things. But I would just suggest like picking one or, you know, whatever you can find at the store, pick it and just stick with that. And then you don't have to think about it. So here are the brands of breads, tortillas, those types of things. Here are a couple brands of granola, McCormick spices and seasoning blends. Unless it says sea salt, they say they use non-iodized salt. French's for condiments says they use non-iodized salt. And then these are the dairy alternatives. I do want to point out that it is the So Delicious shelf-stable coconut milk. It is not the refrigerated one. With So Delicious and Silk, it's very specific to the items that I have listed here. Silk will not say, they say they cannot tell us what's in their products. That's a secret, which I think is a little strange when I'm telling them it's for a medical reason. And So Delicious did not say that it was non-iodized salt. So most of what I've put here, they do not have salt. So I've tried to find brand products for you that either don't use salt or the companies have said that they use non-iodized salt. So my philosophy, because I did the low iodine diet myself before low iodine life was there, I focused on trying to, you know, do as much as I could homemade to keep it simple, but also like, I'm not going to make my own mustard from scratch. I'm not going to make my own ketchup from scratch. So I try to find a company that makes it and says they use non-iodized salt. And also if there's a low sodium version, I'm going to go there. You know, like there are plenty on Low Iodine Life of peanut butters and almond butters and whatever that they say they use non-iodized salt. It's not that hard to find unsalted. So I just prefer to go that route because I feel like it's a little bit safer. You don't have to follow these brand recommendations. If you want to go to the brands pages of Low Iodine Life, you are welcome to do so as well. So now we're into the menus for each week. So for each week, you have a menu page like this. You have a grocery list specific to the recipes for that week. Unfortunately, they carry over a little bit. And then here are the recipes for your week. And then it just goes through. And then you'll have all the weeks will do that. So you get all the way through week 1. And now we're here to week 2. And then you'll go the same thing through week 3, week 2, and week 3. Oh. Okay. Oops. So here are your bonus recipes at the end of week 3 are 2 bread recipes, a granola recipe, and a recipe for making homemade almond milk. And the way to make oat milk is basically the same. Okay, so then we get into some of the handouts that you get with it. So here's just listed by kind of the same. I tried to do some of the same categories as the shopping list, but not as many categories of like good things to eat on the low iodine diet and things you should avoid. So there's all these lists here. I tried to occasionally put some brand names in there for you as well. And then here's some tips about label reading. So like this has sea salt. We wouldn't want to have sea salt. This has carrageenan. We wouldn't want to have carrageenan. This has iodate in the bread. And this is tricky because Nature's Own doesn't use iodized salt, but there are other things in this bread that you can't have. So there's the iodate and soy flour. So you can have soy oil or soy lecithin. So I like to tell people, if you look at the bottom of something and it says allergen, it will say allergens. If it says milk and egg, then you want to avoid that product. If it just says soy, then you need to look, because they will put that even for soy oil and so soy lecithin, and you do not need to avoid those. So milk and egg, definitely avoid. If it's just soy, you want to look through and see what it says. But even if it doesn't have those things, it might have something like carrageenan, which would be a problem. So just some tips on label reading. And then you have your guide to dining out. So here are 11 of the top fast food restaurants and things that you can eat at them. And then the big one to point out on here is Chipotle. So all of these are things that you can eat. On Chipotle, they use kosher salt. So you can basically eat anything except these things. So on Chipotle, it's what you cannot eat, which is why I tried to bold it and put no on those things. So, and then here are just some tips for eating out at other restaurants, things you can ask, things you can do, how to talk to them. Make sure you tell them. I did not have any problem when I was on the low iodine diet, taking my own salad dressing, taking some of my own bread, and just, I would order a salad, I would order a drink, and explain to the server that I was on a very restrictive diet for a cancer treatment. And so I couldn't eat a lot of things, and they were all very understanding. It's a great time to play the cancer card. And then, ask them for a special order, especially if it's the nicer the restaurant it is, the more likely they're going to be willing to accommodate you. So there's your guide to dining out. Next, we have our snacks. So at first we have just like generic snacks that you don't need a recipe for. You don't need a recipe to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Here are some popcorns that are good. So all of these cereals are fine to eat. You just can't eat them with milk. You could have them with oat milk or almond milk if you want, or you could just eat them dry and plain, be a kid again. There's some produce, snacks and candies, frozen treats, and dairy alternatives for snacks. And then here's your recipe index again. And it did have links here. I don't know why those didn't save. But so here's your index of snacks, and then here's all your snacks. The snacks are just in alphabetical order. And so there's over 30 snack recipes, actual recipes in here for you. Lots of treats, like those are brownie bites. Here's a banana bread mug cake. Chocolate covered or chocolate cashew bites. And then things that aren't treats as well, like coconut yogurt and berries, a veggie dip, guacamole, things like that. So a lot of variety of different snacks, because you will want snacks. You're not going to feel great often. You'll be tired, so it's hard to cook a whole meal. So maybe you just want some snacks. Maybe you're have a low appetite, or after you have radioactive iodine and are still on the low iodine diet, maybe you're nauseated. So having some snacks can be good things to do. So that will take us through snacks. And then after the snacks, here are just some tips for recovering after your thyroid surgery, and then your tips for dealing with isolation and radioactive iodine side effects. And so all of these, starting with the snacks, are all your bonuses for buying, and I really appreciate you buying. If you ever have questions or concerns, or something is wrong with your PDF, please let me know. You can email me at kimberly@lowiodinedietitian.com, and I will be happy to try and resolve the problem. But I hope this helps you, and Reach out if you ever have questions or need other help anywhere else on your thyroid cancer journey.